Good evening.
Recording in progress.
I'd like to call the Oceanside Planning Commission meeting for November 7th to order. If we could rise and have Commissioner Simons lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. City Planner, can we do the roll call?
Certainly. Chairman Rosales.
Present.
Vice Chair Morrissey.
Here.
Commissioner Balma.
Here.
Commissioner Custer.
Here.
Commissioner Dodds. Commissioner Simons. And Commissioner Malik. Let the record show that all planning commissioners are present.
Thank you. Communications and matters not on the agenda. I don't see anything listed, and I don't see, well, I see one person in the audience. Anybody want to come forward and speak to the commission on matters not on tonight's agenda? Not seeing anybody coming forward. We'll go to approval of our minutes from our last meeting, October 24th. Any discussion or edits? If not, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
We have a motion, Vice Chair Morrissey, second, Commissioner Custer. Any other discussion? If not, let's vote.
I'm having the same problem I had last time.
Oh, yeah, mine worked, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties, so if we go around and I'll ask for a vote. Commissioner Dodds. Commissioner Balma?
Yes.
Vice Chair Morrissey?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Commissioner Simons?
Yes.
Commissioner Custer? And
Yes.
Commissioner Malik?
Yes.
Chair Rosales, let the record show that motion passes 7-0.
Great. Let's get rid of this on our screen then. We'll continue while we're working out the technical bugs. Looking at tonight's agenda under consent calendar, I don't see any items listed. And under transportation items, also nothing listed. So we'll go to our public hearings. We have one item that's being continued until November 21st. That's item 5. So we will take on item 4, which is consideration of a regular coastal permit to allow for second-story addition interior remodel at 1235 South Pacific Street. All open with disclosures, staff report, and took a quick drive by the location. Vice Chair Morrissey?
Same.
Commissioner Dodds? Commissioner Obama?
Same.
Commissioner Simons?
Staff report and drive-by.
Commissioner Malik? And Commissioner Custer?
Same.
Welcome, Russ. I figured when I opened up my package that being this was a coastal item, it would be Russ in front of us this evening, and I was right. Welcome.
Chair Rosales, Commissioners, good evening. I'm Russ Cunningham with the City's Planning Division. It's great to see a full slate of planning commissioners. It's wonderful. I am pinch hitting, actually, Chair, for my former direct report, Stephanie Cervantes, who has taken a senior planner position with the city of Pacifica up north near the Bay Area, and we congratulate Stephanie and we wish her the very best. So this item involves an addition to an existing single-family home on the beachfront requiring a regular coastal permit. This would allow for a remodel and addition to an existing 2-story single-family residence and attached garage on a property that's roughly 5,000 square feet in size, located within the appeal jurisdiction of the California Coastal Commission. The project would add approximately 1,600 square feet on a third story, and that space would feature 2 bedrooms and actually 2 open deck areas, the largest being one that faces out toward the Pacific Ocean. The project would not expand the footprint of the existing home or involve any grading of the project site. So here is the project site at the T intersection of Pacific and Crosswaith. You can see immediately to the south, there is a public access way there that is essentially a paper street that extends down to the beach. That has some relevance to this project, and I'll speak to that in this very next slide. So here is a site plan. I want to point your attention to 2 things. To the right, you will see a property line, and you will see that the existing home is very close to that front property line. As you know, many homes on the beachfront along Pacific Street are not maintaining what would be the standard setback, front yard setback. Original development along Pacific Street is often built or was often built very close to the street, and so new projects do benefit from that condition. Essentially, a string line is drawn between adjacent properties to determine what the appropriate setback would be, both for ground floor and upper story development. So this project does comply with that reduced setback. In the yellow there, and this is off the property site, and in that public access way, there are several private improvements, a fire pit, a raised concrete pad, utilized by the property owners here. Those features have been there for some time. We have asked as a condition of approval that the applicant enter into an encroachment removal agreement permit with the city in the event that the city chooses to improve this beach access way at some point in the future and feels the need to remove these private improvements. So the applicant has agreed to that particular condition. And these improvements in no way impede public access to the beach at Crosswaith. Here's the south elevation facing that beach access way. And what I want to point out here is the dashed line that is slightly above the existing grade here, and that extends up to that portion of that first level. That is the average finished grade, and that is the point from which we measure building height. And you will see above that a dashed line that sits quite a bit above the gable roof of the proposed addition. That is the height limit. So you can see that this property is well below that height limit. Here is the east-facing or street-facing elevation of the proposed addition. Again, you can see the extent to which the structure is below the height limit. And here is the beach-facing elevation where you can see the 3 levels. So we find that the project conforms to all applicable general plan policies, including those that speak to architectural quality. We believe this is a high-quality project. The existing structure is quite elegantly designed, and we find that this addition is really quite faithful to that original aesthetic. As you know, the general plan largely defers to the local coastal program for projects within the coastal zone. And the local coastal program is concerned with the compatibility of new development with surrounding structures, with parking resources, and making sure that developments do not impact on-street parking, and preserving coastal access and view corridors. And this project does all of these things. It is compatible with surrounding development. It does provide on-site parking. No additional parking is required for this addition, and it preserves coastal access and does not lie within a public view corridor. The project is consistent with all zoning standards. I did mention that there is a reduced front yard setback here per zoning ordinance section 3016B. So with that, I'd like to recommend issuance or your confirmation of issuance of a categorical exemption for small structures and your approval of regular coastal permit RC 224 with associated findings and conditions of approval. Thank you. Oh, and I'll let you know that project architect Alan Tita is here, should you have any questions.
Thank you, Russ. Any questions for Russ? Anybody? I don't see any. Mr. Architect, I forgot your name. Would you like to come forward and address the commission? Or you don't have a formal presentation, that's fine.
I'll just say hi. Chair Rosales and commissioners, good evening. My name is Alan Tita with Trey Architecture. I'm standing in for my clients, Laura and Steve Houchin. They are longtime owners in Oceanside near the San Malo area and have recently purchased this home down the street, which they've been eyeing for many years, and they're excited to move forward on this enhancement to the project. It's interesting, the house as it stands is actually quite a small home. And so this addition will bring it up to standards, I think, just for a normal home in the area. So we're excited for this project. If you have any questions at all, please let me know.
Great, thank you. Don't see any questions at the moment. It's a public hearing, so do we have any slips to speak on this item? I'm guessing not.
No, we do not have
Great,
any.
thank you. See a few audience members. You're welcome to come forward if you'd like to address the commission on this item. Seeing no one come forward, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. This seems pretty straightforward. I don't know if anybody has anything to add or any concerns or questions. If not, then I will entertain. Would you like me to entertain? Probably a motion.
Entertain.
Anybody?
I'll make it.
All right, Susan.
I'm going to make a motion that we confirm issuance of a Class 3 categorical exemption for existing facilities pursuant to Section 15331 of the California Environmental Quality Act, and approve regular coastal permit RC 22-00004 by adopting Planning Commission Resolution Number 2022 P30 with findings and conditions of approval attached herein.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Custer's made a motion. Anybody like to second? We have a second. Commissioner Malik. Let's vote. Everybody got a screen? Okay, we've got screens, so let's use those.
Chair Rosales, let the record show that the vote is 7-0 in support of the motion.
Great, thank you. All right, item 5 is inclusionary housing ordinance, and that item is being continued until our next meeting, November 21st. So that concludes our public hearings for tonight. Under appeal of city planner's determination on the agenda, I don't see any items listed nor anything under discussion items, so we will go to commissioner reports. I'll start, and it's more of a question and clarification. City planner, I know I sent you an email earlier, well, last week actually, on the Ocean Breeze development, which we heard back in August, if I remember right. And then I went on vacation and some others took over. And then I think there was something that came back to us. Understand it's going to city council under appeal on December 7th.
That is correct.
Yeah. For the benefit, I guess, maybe just for myself, again, and I apologize because I know you covered it fairly well in the email, the process of what we tackled that evening, and then the process that I understand typically is where, you know, if we deny a project, we have to have a finding, it comes back, we pass a resolution accepting those findings, and it moves forward. This one, again, you explained it in email. I still don't know if I track it completely. So would you mind walking through that one more time and then tell us if that last or that next step is the last remaining one going to city council, or if there's something in between? So go ahead.
Sure. Chairman Rosales, members of the Planning Commission. So that was a unique situation we found ourselves in with the Breeze project, in that in August, when the commission considered the project, the motion was to approve it, and that motion failed. There was never a secondary motion made to deny the project. The clearly the direction was to bring back a resolution for denial, but there was never that formal motion. So the commission could have that night voted to deny that project. Perhaps that was my misgivings that I didn't apprise the chair of such need to make that motion. Nevertheless, the applicant made some changes to that project, and we brought it back to this body with two options. One, consider the revised project and adopt the resolution to approve it, or conversely, adopt the resolution denying the project as was the direction from the Planning Commission from the meeting in August. This body heard and considered the revised project, and at the end of the day, given that there were a couple of the key members of the Planning Commission who were kind of led a little bit of the discussion on the, maybe the lack of merit of the project, this Planning Commission voted to consider or to honor the direction to deny the project and consequently voted to deny it. The applicant then had the ability to appeal that decision to the city council, which they chose to do so with about 10 days into the appeal period. And so now that item will be considered by the city council at their December 7th meeting.
So the project, or the applicant did make changes, which,
They did make,
if I understood you correctly, did come back here for discussion or representation?
it did, yeah,
Okay.
it did. We had Commissioner Custer present at that meeting. She viewed the hearing of the meeting in August to make sure she was up to speed and had the ability to weigh in on the project as well.
Okay.
So it was a unique situation. We don't find ourselves in very often, but nevertheless, that's how it unfolded.
And is there kind of a summary of what those changes were by the applicant so that it were to go forward? Well, it is going forward to the city council. Do we wait for the staff report, or can you provide us a summary? Because I know we had a lot of things that we were not thrilled with on that
Sure.
project. And so, I'm inclined to, maybe present myself at the city council meeting to offer an opinion kind of thing. But I don't want to do that if the changes seem to resonate more so with people now than they did with us in August.
Certainly. So the changes were articulated in the staff report for the meeting in September. Off the top of my head, I can try to remember them. Probably the biggest change was they modified the architecture a little bit, so the roof line wasn't one monotonous roof line. It actually appeared to be like 3 or 4 different building types. They added some balconies to the project. They added some Juliet balconies to every unit of the project. Some of them had real true balconies. They had a little bit of fenestration in the building where there was some movement in and out. But at the end of the day, it was still a similar project. They removed the vertical solar panels to address the glare issue. But other than that, the unit count didn't go down. The unit sizes didn't change. They had more operable windows, so they had 9-foot tall windows that were 9 feet wide to allow breeze to come in. So as to address some of the comments heard by the commission. Yeah. So those are some of the changes that I recollect that were made to the project. They were clearly they're articulated in the staff report for that second meeting in September. We could certainly provide you a copy of that if you don't have it any longer.
Okay. Well, I'll throw it to any commissioners that were here in that September meeting. Did anybody have a sense of thinking we had a better project from that process, or?
Well, I think it was a little bit improved, but I still didn't like it.
Yeah.
It still wasn't improved enough to want to see it built.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all I had for tonight. Vice Chair Morrissey?
Just to remind everyone that November 17th, Oceanside's finest basketball club program is having a fundraiser at the Senior Vet Center at 5:30. So you're all invited.
Great. Commissioner Ballmer?
I have nothing to report.
Commissioner Custer?
Well, I just had a question on I saw the notice of application for the drive-through car wash on Oceanside Boulevard. Pardon me, that's correct, right? That's going to be new, that just came through.
Yeah.
I'm just curious as I'm trying to remember, did we approve that to be a gas station a few years back, correct? And now it's switching to a car wash?
So Commissioner Custer, it's not going to replace the gas station / convenience store. The car wash would be in addition to those
Oh,
two
okay.
features that were previously approved at the old CHP. I think it's the old 1888
Yes.
Oceanside Boulevard, the old CHP station there. Yeah, it's just an addition. They're adding a car wash component now. They're proposing to add a car wash component to that project.
Okay, that's just curious. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Dodds,
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Simons,
Report.
and Commissioner Malik. City Planner.
Thank you, Chairman Rosales. So just kind of have a light schedule moving forward through the holidays. Unfortunately, the meeting on the 21st is the Monday before Thanksgiving, so we'll ask that hopefully we have a quorum that meeting where the inclusionary housing ordinance and associated zoning text amendments will be considered. We don't have anything else scheduled out through December. Doesn't mean that that might not change, but right now we don't have anything scheduled through December. For the City Council, on the meeting of December 7th, we have an appeal of the denial of the Breeze project, and the City Council will also be considering the inclusionary housing ordinance. And then on the meeting of December 21st, the council will be considering appeal of the Ocean Creek project. That project was appealed by a member of the public. And they will also be considering the zoning text amendment associated with the update to the inclusionary housing ordinance. So that's all we have scheduled right now through the end of the year.
It is pretty light.
So we have nothing, Sergio, right now in December?
As of now, no. It looks like we haven't had anything that's ready to move forward to this body right now that's presented itself, but things
Okay.
may change between now and the time the noticing is due.
Can you tell me a little bit about how much, as far as the work, inclusionary housing ordinance, is there something we can get a jump on now to start read? Is it a lot to read? I just was kind of wondering.
So
like how much that's
the
gonna be.
inclusionary housing ordinance, this body will be asked to make a recommendation to the city council on. It's pretty much a wholesale update to that ordinance. And so the reason it's being continued from tonight is that the director of Housing and Neighborhood Services is currently making final modifications to the draft of the inclusionary housing ordinance. The basic tenet of a 10% requirement for inclusionary housing is staying the same.
Okay.
The way you can satisfy that requirement is changing a little bit. One of the key components that are being introduced is currently they have to qualify for an inclusionary housing ordinance satisfaction on site, you have to have a like-for-like type unit. But now we're that sometimes makes it improbable that the units get produced on site because of the cost and the gap in financing available to those who might be qualified to purchase a unit. So one of the changes is that they just have to be appearance on the outside and same quality of materials on the inside, but not necessarily the same bedroom count or necessarily the same square footage. However, that provision still exists in the density bonus law, or local density bonus provisions. So anyone trying to, kill two birds with one stone and satisfy their inclusionary housing ordinance while applying for density bonus, they'll still have to meet that proportionality requirement. Probably the biggest change you'll see is a change in the in lieu fee as a means to incent development of affordable housing on site. The in lieu fee is being proposed to almost double. Right now, the charges, there's a administrative fee. It's like $1,000 per project plus $100 per unit plus $8.96 a square foot currently. The fee is proposed to change to $15 a square foot, which is less than what our Nexus study showed we could be charging, but it's certainly one that's kind of meets the middle of the road between proponents of development like the BIA and proponents of affordable housing. So those are some of the bigger changes that are coming forward.
So it's kind of in the middle then? Is that what
Sort
you're
of in
saying?
the middle. That's what.
Because I remember you had talked about that some meetings back about the amounts.
Yeah,
And one was kind
that's
of
right.
like really kind of high, and the other one was kind of more in the middle. So this is the one that's kind of more in the middle, is the
More
one
in
you
the
guys
middle.
chose.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the report that the director gave this body. I think it was back in either August or September.
Yeah. Okay.
One more thing, Sergio. I know that the city's been doing workshops on the general plan update. When are we likely to see something come back to this body to either just get an update or approving some step along the way?
Sure, it's a great question.
Yeah.
So right now,
Thanks for asking that one.
we have, we're proposing to have drafts for internal review of all the elements by the end of January, including the Smart Sustainable Corridor specific plan. However, those drafts probably won't be made available to the public until the time we're ready to release the environmental impact report associated with the project, which will probably be sometime in late spring, early summer. We do have a little bit of a hiccup in moving forward with the general plan update in that this is kind of a long-winded explanation, but it'll make sense in a moment. So one of the requirements to update the general plan is, of course, to do an environmental impact report. An environmental impact report is going to be based on, in part, the traffic considerations are based on a traffic impact analysis that requires running of a model through SANDAG's, what they call Series 14 traffic model. Recently, SANDAG was directed by their, or SANDAG staff was directed by their board of directors to remove what they call the user charge from the model. The user charge was a proposed tax, basically, for every mile driven in the county. They were going to use those funds to fund projects associated with the regional transportation plan that was adopted last December. Because of the direction to remove that user charge, now the SANDAG staff has to go back and recalibrate and retool the model because some of the inputs in that model included that user charge and the benefits associated with it. So right now, as it exists, the model can't be utilized. So there's going to be a delay in the availability of that model. So, SANDAG has represented 9 months. We think it's probably more like 12 months. We're exploring options to go straight to the creator of the model to run the City of Oceanside's general plan update, proposed land uses in that model, and hopefully we'll be ready and prepared to release a EIR sometime in late spring, early summer. So there's a series of events that have occurred that kind of hopefully will avoid a delay. We've been working on the project for well over 2 years now, and we certainly want to bring that that project to fruition. So this body will probably see that the full general plan update for recommendation to City Council in late summer, if not early fall next year.
Okay.
Will that now include, since it's pushed so far out, the South Memorial Hills Community Plan? Will that be part of the general plan then? As it moves
That's
forward?
we're going to wait. We're still working on the South Memorial Hills Community Plan update, of course, but there's going to be it's going to trail the general plan update.
So it's longer. It could be like next 2024.
We hope not that far, but
If this is already
it
like
could be.
late, why is this happening? Like, what if when our council gets put in the next whatever, there's no way they can put it back on the track?
We take direction from council, and
Yeah.
so right now the direction we are proceeding with is to kind of separate the two projects in an effort to get the general plan update moving forward.
Yeah.
Once we get that project moving forward well ahead, we will follow up with the South Memorial Hills Community Plan. We're still actively working on it.
But that would mean we'd have to have another EIR done.
We would tear off of the EIR
And the
prepared
other
for
thing
the
is
general
that,
plan.
with the North River Farms project, there was $1 million that was set aside with that project to complete the plan for South Memorial Hills. So that $1 million that you're going to get, I think, in October, or it should be soon. It should be like when they pull their entitlements, they would have to release that $1 million.
So those
Is that going to be earmarked just for the South Memorial Hills
it
plan?
is.
Because we'll probably consume that with another EIR probably, right?
A subsequent EIR, potentially, it'll use some of that, utilize some of those funds.
Oh, geez. This has been an ongoing, I've been working on this for 15 years. And it's still, that's the only reason I stayed on this. I was on the planning commission for years ago, right? And I kind of jumped on because I wanted to kind of work on our neighborhood, try to figure out some kind of way to get that to be something where the farmers would actually be able to continue doing what they do. And I always swore I'm not going to get off the planning commission until we finish this. So here we go. It's like, hopefully by my, I'm not doing another
20 years.
another term, that's for sure. Oh my gosh.
Louise,
okay.
we hope to bring that
think?
plan forward to this body before your
My
your
term's
current
up.
term
Yeah,
expires.
Yeah, I hope so, please.
We got her for another
Okay.
term.
Okay, unless there's anything else, we're adjourned.
All right.